What up, you guys? Sim here at SlimXTeampurplepanda here with a deck discussion I've been waiting to do for actually a really long time. I waited for it, to come to me in a suggestion like it did, but with my past experience with the deck, I finally felt it was time to really kind of expose the deck for what it really is, because a lot of people have been, I guess, killing the hype that the deck once had, and now as the format is winding out, I do have thoughts on the deck and its success in this format, and I got just a lot of things to say. So shout out to Baby Dragon 48. She sent me, someone finally sent me the idea to talk about Six Samurai. And people who know me personally know that I ran the deck. It's how I got my first invite. Um, and I ran it when there were triple gateway. I ran it when there was one gateway. I've literally ran the deck 4 separate times, broken it, rebuilt it again, and I mean literally from scratch. So I really know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna get into it real quick, because the thing with this deck is that people were wondering, when it first came out, there was so much hype about it. It was ridiculous. Like, Lee had made the video about how the deck was going to run. People saw it. People jumped on it and thought, oh, I'm going to run this deck. Now, the first thing I'm going to clear up, I'm not saying this is a bad deck. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's one of the best decks out there, but things need to be cleared up because a lot of people never understood, why should you run Six Samurai or why shouldn't you run Six Samurai? And that's what I'm here to address. So bear with me. Like I said, I have nothing against the deck. So, don't, come at me saying I hate the deck, because I've ran it way more times than probably any other player out there. So I just want to, clear some things up. Okay, so when the deck came out in February around the 11th and 12th for the regionals, and you could run triple gateway, you had your triple united, triple smoke signal, triple Sheehan, you had everything. The deck couldn't be stopped, you guys. You opened usually with a smoke signal and like something else, and even if you didn't, if you opened double smoke signal and a gateway, you had it. If you had double gateway, you already had game, because you could loop all the Bushido counters, and I mean it was ridiculous. You basically go Kageki, get Kagemusha, synchro to Sheehan, drop Grandmaster, drop Kazan. And people remember back then, Sheehan was like $35 and Kazan was 50. I don't know if people can remember that, but I remember shelling out 50 bucks for Kazan, because Kazan was expensive when it first came out, because everyone wanted it, and it was like the hardest one to get, because you'd get maybe one to a box. Sheehan was a lot easier to pull. Kazan was not. Kazan was really hard to pull for some people. Some people it wasn't, but I mean for most people it was, and you needed that card. It like made the deck. It was like a free special summon that was 1800 and turned to 2100 when there were two other Sams with like a different name. So like the deck was just really good. Like, is the only way I could say it. It was consistent, it was powerful, and most decks couldn't even topple it. My matches were over so quickly when I was running it, because people didn't know how to play against it. It's like Sheehan negates. Oh shit, you double edge and make another one. I was running Marauding Captain and X-Saber Pashul in mine. Those were Lee's techs that he put in my deck, and they were really good. I mean, people couldn't get past them. They were amazing. We were running Reinforced Truth. We were running all this crazy tech that no other Sam deck had seen before. And the reason why it was so successful is because Lee spent all the time, researching the deck, and then, the day comes for him to play it, and he judges instead. So, I take the deck, and, I do my best with it, and, I get my invites. I mean, it worked out, in the end, but the deck itself is just really good. I mean, the deck runs a low monster count depending on what version you run. Back then, people were running Upstart. I didn't run Upstart at all. I tried it without Upstart, and I did fine without Upstart. Upstart, though, is good, though, because it adds to the consistency and the explosiveness that the deck really has. Like you go, like I said, the standard play, Gateway United, summon Kigeki, 2 counters, 1 counter, some special summon Kagemusha, 2 counters, 4 counters, break to surge, break to draw, and your consistency has just gone through the roof. You've literally gotten 3 cards to your hand, and just unbelievable what the deck could do. There was also Magatama, which could negate stuff like Warning, 7 tools, Judgment. The deck had everything. It had, the double reborn with double-edged sword technique. There was, Hand of the Six Samurai for your popping effects. Depending on if you ran the original version build like I did, or you ran red and blue, you had your Shinai Mizuho combos. There was that. The ability to make Naturia Beast, Naturia Barkion, um, that was really good. Trishula was easy to make, even though Trishula wasn't out back then, but you can make Mistworm really easily. And you can make level 9s really easily. And then Trishula came out, and Trishula just like took over. It was really easy. It wasn't hard at all to go Kageki, Kagamusha, Kizan, Synchro to 9, Double Edge, make a Shein. I mean, you had control throughout the whole game. The problem, though, that this deck had is that the excessiveness of it killed the hype. If anyone's ever heard of that catchphrase, excessiveness kills hype, when you take something and you just I guess bring it down to like its lowest level, like you honestly just play it out so much and hype it up so much, it literally like kills the hype. Like then no one wants to play it. I mean, here we are now almost at the end of July, and Six Samurai has really gone down in play if people haven't noticed. Like, it's still a really good deck, it still tops, it still does really well at events, but a lot of players have switched from Six Samurai to a different deck because, you get bored with it. I honestly got bored with it. I was tired of it because, after a while, the consistency factor started to go away. If you couldn't protect Shein, you were kind of up shit's creek. Like, literally, you couldn't do anything to protect Shein, which is like your best monster, and if you couldn't, you were really at a loss. Also, I discovered how bad Samurai does against Gravekeeper if they don't go first and set up, because Gravekeeper can either Royal Tribute away your pieces or can lock you down with Necro Valley because you can't double edge. Plus, if Gravekeepers go set Spy, activate Necro Valley, set 3/4 back row, it's like, wow, how do I get out of that? A lot of decks, these days have been doing that, and that's why Samurai are, I mean, they're still good, they're still definitely in the top tier, but they've really just lost a lot of fire. And I don't blame players at all that have done really well with the deck. I blame the bad players that ran that deck. The players that ran the deck just to run it because they thought they could win, not win, and then scrap it. Like, it literally killed the hype. No one wanted to run Sams anymore. I barely see people rushing to make Six Samurai these days. The people that stayed with Six Samurai like this whole time, like Lee and Chris Gong, and people who know how to use the deck. They've adapted with Dojo. Lee has the infinite counters with red and blue. And I mean, those are two players that know what they're doing with the deck. I personally would never run the deck again. It's not my style anymore. I am a lot more conservative with my plays. Gravekeeper is more my style. I like the control I have with Gravekeeper. And I like going against Six Samurai because you have a really good match of who has more control and who knows how to get out of tougher situations. So, I mean, that's what I honestly think, you guys. Like, unfortunately, the hype was killed by bad players wanting to make that deck. And, it's really sad because I love Six Samurai, and I think it's an awesome deck, but it's really bad to see when people who don't know what they're doing literally top the events, or they stack to win. People were telling me about some of the players that have topped multiple YCSs, that they stack their Samurais, and I mean, that's how they win. It's like, dude, like, you're not getting any credit if you're stacking that shit. Like, honestly, like, the deck by itself didn't even need to be stacked. You could honestly just play out of any bad hand, and most of the time you didn't even open with a bad hand. You open with a really nice playable hand. And techs were added to the deck, Spirit of the Six, Elder of the Six, all these different monsters that came out around the time of Dojo, and some old school cards. Yaichi was one of our favorite techs when we rebuilt the deck, because you could pop a face down, bait out that warning. There was so much that the deck could do, and now, I mean, it's kind of at a standstill right now. There's really no more innovation coming into Six Samurai. It's pretty much stuck the way it is, as is Gravekeeper. But, you'll see a lot more people, trying to add tech to it, and, like, honestly, it's not going to work. Like, honestly, you guys, like, the worst thing you can do with a Six Samurai deck is try to be original and try to change, like, the whole way it's played, because it's not going to work. If you change a deck's playstyle, you're literally, like, destroying what made the deck so good in the first place. And that's unfortunately what I've seen happen to Six Samurai. People are trying out all these weird ass ideas, and it's like, dude, there's nothing wrong with going back to the way the deck's supposed to be played. Like, the people that know this, like I mentioned before, Chris Gong and Lee, they know how to run the deck their way. They've ran it for months. Players like that are the people you should go to talk to about Samurai. Don't think you're great because you added, like, some random tech to your deck. You added swords, or you added gores. I mean, that's not original, dude. Like, honestly, like, it's not even good. Like, why would you, like, gores is okay, but I mean, most of the time you're trying to protect your Shein. Why would you want, like, a bare field to drop gores when you really can't afford to? So you see, that's what I'm trying to say, you guys, is that people tried to kill the hype. I mean, they did kill the hype. What am I saying? They tried to. They did kill the hype. Six Samurai's hype was gone within a month of it, doing well. And it's really sad that a deck like that, that would cost so much when it first came out, and was so good when it came out, that it really kind of fell by the wayside for some players. I mean, like I said, it's still played today. It's a really good deck. There's nothing wrong with playing it. Like I said, the problem is for every good Six Samurai player, there's like 2 or 3 bad Six Samurai players, and that's what unfortunately hurts the deck's reputation, and that's why a lot of people say it's like a sacky deck, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of sacky, but it's like you should be able to play out of the situation regardless, and vice versa if you think Six Samurai do bad against certain matches. I mean, I played 2 Six Samurais back-to-back at regionals, and I had to be smart when I played, and playing conservatively with Gravekeepers was what got me both my victories. I was able to 2-0 both my Six Samurai opponents. And I mean, they opened broken too. First guy opened Gateway, United, and I thought I was done. He sets 1 or 2 back row. I'm like, okay. I set a spy, I set a couple back rows, and I'm patient. Being patient is key, because 7 tools did work against Magatama. Sheehan was negated, Necro Valley was on the field, you're not going to be able to double edge. You ran into my kinetic game 2, Puppet Plant took your Sheehan, and I mean, that's how you do this. That's another thing about Six Samurai. They're the easiest deck to side against. Literally, like, if you look in everyone's side deck, even, for example, I've shown everyone my side deck, like, multiple times, like, what I side these days. I change it a little bit, like, to add stuff. But, I mean, honestly, all you do to kill Samurai is add in, like, these 6 monsters. These 6 monsters alone wreck that deck. Like, Thunder King to stop Smoke Signal, Puppet Plant to take Shin or other 6 Samurais, and Kinetic Soldier just because it beefs up to 2,000 more attack, 2,000 more defense, and, I mean, it's friggin' ridiculous. That literally kills the deck. Everyone knows how to side against Samurai. Samurais have the hardest time game too, because if the opponent sided and drew their side cards, they're in trouble. So, I mean, that's what's happened, you guys. Six Samurai has been overhyped by the wrong people. That's the best conclusion I can come to. Like I said, if you're a player like David Lee or Chris Gong, you'll know that Six Samurai is a really good deck, depending on how you play it. There's been multiple people that have topped with it before. A lot of people I know. A lot of people who actually know how to run the deck. And that's the difference, is do you know how to run the deck? At the end of the day, can you say, I'm a good Six Samurai player because I don't make stupid moves. I make smart moves that get me the advantage over my opponent. If I do open broken, then I open broken. Any deck can open broken. So at the end of the day, know your deck. Like, know yourself as a player and know whether or not Six Samurai is the deck for you or not. I came to the conclusion it wasn't the deck for me. I tried it so many times, but the fun factor just wasn't there. Like, I didn't have fun doing it because everyone killed the hype of that deck for me, and it's really sad. But I still think it's an amazing deck. I don't know what the list will do to it. It might hit Smoke Signal, it might hit Sheehan and Double Edge, but that's about it. Other than that, the deck's balanced. Every deck has a weakness, and Six Samurai have a weakness, you guys. I mean, if you think they don't, I mean, you're ignorant. Every deck has a weakness. Like I showed you alone what a side deck can do to Six Samurai. So if you follow that idea, then no deck is unstoppable. But once again, big shout out to Baby Dragon 48. Thank you so much for, giving me the time to finally talk about a deck I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I almost took my whole video time to talk about it, but so I'm really passionate about the deck. And I mean, I take it back. If I ever got the chance to play it again, I would do it because I still know how to play it. But I mean, other than that, I'm happy with the deck I have now. So we'll see what happens to Six Samurai in September, you guys. I really hope they stick around. Like, maybe not in such a, a brutal way with triple Smoke Signal, Double Edge, and, Sheehan. But, I mean, maybe they'll get a little more balanced so we have a more balanced meta. But that's all I got to say about Six Samurais, you guys. Please leave your comments below. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with the deck, so let me know what you guys think. Have things changed? Was the hype killed? What happened? And that's it, you guys. That's all I gotta say. Six Samurai is an awesome deck. I don't suggest people stop playing it if they're good with it, but just know if it's the deck for you and don't waste people's time, because that's what happens, and the excessiveness kills the hype. So that's all I gotta say, you guys. Please, please continue to rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching.